Every commune design is the result of a collaborative effort between members of their diverse team. Whether the project is a commercial space, retail environment, a restaurant, a residence, packaging, corporate identity, or a website, Commune is dedicated to approaching each design in a holistic fashion. As leading partners of the firm, Roman Alonso and Pam Shamshiri have been crucial to the success of countless projects touching nearly every realm of the design spectrum, and working with esteemed clientele such as Oliver Peoples, Opening Ceremony, Ace Hotels, Heath Ceramics, Standard Hotels, and Juicy Couture, among many others. Roman was born in Caracas, Venezuela. Upon graduating from Boston University with a degree in film and art history, he began working in publishing at Connoisseur and Mirabella magazines in New York. He then moved on to public relations and marketing, first at Barney's New York, where he was a director of corporate PR, and then at Isaac Mizrahi and Company, where he was vice president and image director. In 1998, he co-founded Grable Press in Los Angeles, an art publishing company focusing on photographic books. And then in 2004, he co-founded Commune. Pam Shamshiri was born in Tehran, Iran, and grew up in Los Angeles. She graduated from Smith College with a Bachelor of Arts in Architecture and Art History. She then attended New York University, where she earned her MFA in Production Design. In 1998, Pam returned to Los Angeles and co-founded Sham Interior Design and Events with her brother Ramin, another of the four partners at Commune. She traveled around the world working as a production designer on films and music videos with directors such as Spike Lee and Phil Morrison, and for commercial clients including Nike, Vogue, Sony, AT&T, and the Bronx Zoo. So we are very lucky to have both of them here with us tonight, so please join me in welcoming them to CCA.
All right. So we don't know how to lecture, so we're just going to talk to you, okay? And we'll talk about kind of what we do. We put together this presentation that takes you through kind of our inspiration and our projects and a little bit about our studio, and then things that we're working on now. We started the company, I guess about 8 years ago, 7 years ago. And the idea was that we would be the only people in our company, the four of us. There would be no staff. That we would basically put together teams, really like a commune, where they were tailor-made, these teams, for each project. And we had a list of communists that were basically experts, people that we knew that would help us with all kinds of things. That's how we would approach every project, and we would look at it from all different sides. Since our backgrounds were so mixed, Pam and Ramin doing production design, Steven, our partner, his expertise is really retail design, and my background was PR and marketing, that we would be able to put four heads to every project and look at things very differently. Ramin has a business background too. So the idea of these no staff commune thing kind of ended very quickly when we started to get clients and they needed a certain amount of attention. So we started building a staff very slowly. But the approach has remained the same. For the last 8 years, it hasn't changed. We are still work together on all the projects. We look at everything from all sides. We have a lot of opinions. It's a little bit of a dysfunctional family. But the clients get more from us than they would from your typical design firm, especially when it comes to interiors. The process is about really getting into their heads, figuring out who they are, who they want to be, and then looking at all sides of the problem and solving it. So we're problem solvers.
We still take a completely holistic approach to design, and within the office we have architecture, interior design, and graphic design, and we assemble every project team, specifically for that project. And when we have to bring in our communists from outside of Commune, we do that as well. So that's still. Yeah.
So we'll show you a little bit about. We'll start with inspiration. Our process of looking at references is kind of always remained the same. it's a very narrow path in the end when we really look at it, and it starts with the Bauhaus. People always look at our name and they think, oh, it's Commune, it's like a hippie thing. It's not. It has nothing to do with it. We thought that maybe the typeface on our logo would be a hint, but people don't really know that. But our approach is always, we start here. We start in like the 30s in Austria and Germany, even though we live in California. And then, of course, California is a huge part of it. Our dream sort of interior, well, you tell me.
is, well, it's always about sort of the European expat coming to California, seeing the horizon and what that translates to and what that means.
Yeah, I mean, California to us is like the land of opportunity. It's all open. And so we always think about the people that came here first and what they brought with them. And since we don't really like to waste anything, it's like you use the stuff you bring with you, everything. And you look at it, you try to make it work, and you keep going with it. If it's,
you collect it.
Yeah, if you love it and you collected it, then you keep it with you. And that goes for everything. We look at the moderns, you know, France, 30s, 40s. You know, Donald Judd, huge. We find that his world in Marfa is something that we constantly reference over and over and over again. We give him a lot of credit. And it's very apparent, particularly when you go to Heath Ceramics, you can feel how we really, you know, we say it.
We reference him regularly.
Yeah. Tony Duquette, maximalist. We're not afraid of that. We're not afraid of layers. We're not afraid of, you know, using a plastic straw and making a lamp out of it if it's good. We always admired his sensibility of no waste of any kind. The purity of Sumter and people like Noguchi, you know, the idea of one material, no pretense. It's always really
forms and space and sculpture.
Things with the hand, super important in everything that we do.
Americans, Vladimir Kagan, and geometric textiles we've always looked at.
The idea of utopia, you know, of this perfect place, whatever that is for yourself.
Eames, everything
Obviously.
about them. The way they live, their collections.
The way they lived, yeah. I mean,
the way they put things together, all different eras, the best of different.
And the way they collected. Again, the moderns, Bauhaus.
Again.
Function, huge.
And simplicity. And
yeah. There's no design without function for us. When we're working on a hospitality project, the first thing we talk about is where the outlets are in a room. Seriously, that's like the first thing. Counter space and outlets. The handcrafted.
We think just having the human hand and, you know, every object that you put in, or as much as possible, adds so much to a space and value and soulfulness, and is sort of missing in day-to-day life right now.
Again, California, when it comes to elegance, it's a totally different thing. It has nothing to do with what people think of elegance anywhere else. So we really look at that. Our high-end clients don't come to us for what they normally go to interior designers for. They come for a casualness that is, you know,
Billy Haynes
really encapsulated. You know. Textured layers, you know.
A lot of organic textures.
This is something we have up in our office. It's kind of a little bit of a philosophy we really like. The word honest is something that keeps coming up in all our projects, and when we're trying to educate our clients, because it is an education in the end. we're constantly talking about the honesty in things, the honesty in materials, the honesty in style, the honesty about themselves and how they live. I mean, it's like, it's, I
constant.
think, yeah. And it's hard for people to understand that very simple concept, because I think when people decorate, they are sometimes sort of, they feel like they have to do a fantasy life or something. Like they feel like they're signing up for, like they're gonna be part of a movie or something, and they like have to design a house that's not them because it's in style, or it's or because their friend has it, or I don't know. You know, they like look at too many magazines, I think. And the idea is really to be honest about yourself and how you live and how you want to live and who you are. And so we make our clients work at first quite a bit. You know, it really starts with a therapy session, basically, where we ask a million questions and we ask them to bring all kinds of material and thoughts to us. We really try to get into that head and see what it is that's in there that is honest, so that we can take it from there. It's really hard when we're pretending.
So that it looks like it's been collected over a period of time and not done overnight by a decorator that was in your life for 5 weeks. So, I mean, that's something, you know, we want everyone to invest in good pieces that they'll want to have with them throughout their life, no matter where they live. And to us, that's sort of the least wasteful approach to interior design as well. And really, we don't differentiate between residential and commercial clients, whether we're trying to figure out what KEDs should look like, or, you know, one of our, you know, pop star clients. It's really the same approach, is getting in their heads and editing for them and figuring out what the right look is for them. And we've worked really hard at Commune not to have one look. I mean, although there is a through line, we hope that it, you know, the work that's coming up looks like our clients rather than us.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a huge, you know, between Juicy Couture and Heath, it's like a universe of difference. And that's how it's fun for us, actually. That's the fun part, is getting into all these people's heads. So we'll show you a few of our projects.
This is a house in Los Feliz in Los Angeles. It was a 1920s Spanish house that had a big 80s renovation done to it. So what we did architecturally at first was go in and restore the house back to its 20s glory, and, you know, really come up with materials and patterns and details that to make it look like it had always been there, although the house was a big hodgepodge. And then with the furnishings, our clients were really had just traveled in Mexico and gone to Morocco, and, you know, really wanted sort of an Alhambra influence and Spanish colonial, and so we really tried to make it look like a collection of, you know, memories and experiences and pieces that they've had all along, and it really doesn't feel as decorated as it looks in these pictures when you're there. This is the dining room. We had all the ceilings were low throughout the house, so we coved all the ceilings, which has been amazing for light, and the height of the ceiling doesn't register. Also, with all the windows, we've had valances and doors put in at higher heights, like that big church door on the left actually is, you know, higher than the opening, and you know, there are a lot of sort of optical illusions that we were able to do because we can do both architecture and interiors within a project. This is a different residence in Silverlake. It was a 1931 house. We believe it was the engineer that worked with Frank Lloyd Wright and Schindler and a bunch of people. The entire house was made of steel, which was unheard of when we undid it. Our clients wanted no off-gassing whatsoever. They wanted a completely, like, clean, pure house. So the walls are actually made of clay, and the floor tiles are cement that was handmade and hand-cut in Mexico. And nothing is really polyed. You know, nothing has off-gassing at all. Everything is oiled. The table on the right is made by one of our artisans. that we work with a lot named Alma Allen out of Joshua Tree. And it's funny, they had bought one of his early pieces and we needed a larger table, and we took it back to Alma and he simply added to it and added the brass rails. And we were, a lot of the rugs are old pieces that are reworked and resized, and we tend to work with a lot of vintage because we just believe in investing in good things and, reuse of old pieces. This is a kitchen which was again made by another wood artisan that we work with. Everything is inset cabinetry and notches and a lot of details, Japanese details throughout.
Outlets, lots of them.
Throughout.
Outlet strip.
Never a shortage
actually.
of outlets. The left side is the master closet. And I think, again, it's just using natural materials. We did use burlap for the back, wallpaper, and all the wood is oiled and, raw metal, clay. The right side is the master bathroom. All the windows were reclaimed. We went out and found windows that, to match some of the existing ones where we needed to. This is another project in Nichols Canyon, which is actually, you'll see later, it's a Buff and Hensman house, which was designed in 1961, and that was an extensive 2-year restoration. This is the outdoor kitchen and bathroom area. You can see the heath tile in the outdoor kitchen, and behind those slats is this bathroom that's on the right side of the image.
With Buffy fixtures.
Buffy fixtures. So it's just, again, the mix of like things that are natural and organic, and then more machined. And a lot of our projects, we're fortunate enough to live in Los Angeles. A lot of our projects are really truly indoor-outdoor, and we take advantage of being able to open the houses up as much as possible.
This is the Oliver Peoples in Malibu. It was our first ground-up construction, and it was by accident. It's a freestanding little building that the client took over at the Country Mart. And when we started demo, we found that it was basically like a jalaba. Like
it was a fruit stand.
Yeah, it was like a beach shack.
We couldn't even put an air conditioning unit
on top, so we had to tear it down and build it from the ground up. It's a very narrow material palette. It's concrete, powder-coated metal, and ash, and mirror. That's it. When we created the concept for the client, we placed a small box in front of them and said, these are your materials for the rest of your life. And they have that little box in their office, and every time we meet with them, we bring out the little box and we remind them that they have to stay within that. And it's a really interesting exercise. They wanted it to be about light. That's really all they wanted. They wanted to communicate California light. And that's a very, broad thing. I mean, how do you do that? So through a lot of conversation, this is what we came up with. Those stools are also by Alma Allen. He's actually in pretty much every one of our projects, commercial and residential. He's a big part of our company as an artist and artisan, because he's also a sculptor. I don't know. We just always feel like it's not a project of Commune if he's not part of it in some way.
The big sun, the ocula at the top, came from their logo, and again, I think it was another example of all the different disciplines within our office coming together. There's a big sign that spins outside, right? And it was coming up with an identity for them that they could run with. I think they've built 8 or 10 of these since this.
4.
Like 4? Right? No, really? Okay,
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, they just
from
at their
a mall
4.
to Madison to
And now that we have an agency that represents photographers, we're actually doing their advertising and shooting films for them. So our relationship has evolved in so many different ways in the last 5 years. Because we're so multidisciplinary, we're able to hang on to our clients for a long time and do a lot of different things for them. It's helped us a great deal to be so nimble.
It really got us through the recession without much effect, because we were able to be flexible enough with our business and take on work that naturally came our way and stuff. So.
The left side is also Oliver Peoples. The space is only about 400 square feet. They had to accommodate a lot of things like these adjusting tables, and so that folds into the millwork, and the little cart sort of moves around, and it's a case, and all their stuff is in it, and so it's all very custom. On the right is one of our earliest projects called Hollywood Trading Company.
It's a jean store.
On the right, it's Heath. On the left is a residential project. Color. We're not afraid of color when it's good. Ace Hotel. This is in Palm Springs. This project kind of, it really helped put us on the map in terms of press and on exposure. It was our largest project to date. And it was really true to our practice and our philosophy in every way. There are 14 artisans that are local that were employed to do different things, from door handles to furniture to the smallest details in the rooms. There's a lot of heart in everything that they did. And we had to reclaim this old
Howard Johnson's / motel. So we really, our approach was to really go in and use as much as we could. We did remove all the parking from the interior and created a campus and a lot of community spaces for people to gather at. There's on the right, you can see we took, each room had 2 parking spaces, and we made them outdoor fireplaces and living rooms. So for a very reasonable price, you have the same, you have a motel room and the same size outdoor space. So you have the indoor, outdoor, and you can, and again, it was an integration of, graphics, the signage, the numbering, the copy that was written. It was all a very clear voice, and we know we didn't want to reference Palm Springs or anything to do with the Rat Pack or any of that. It was more about Joshua Tree and camping and nomadic tribes and Army and MASH and what else? Easy Rider, and so it was just like a whole other spirit that wasn't at Palm Springs, because they were trying to attract a whole new demographic to Palm Springs.
There were a lot of challenges in this project. One was budget. It was a really tight budget for this. Timing. It lasted about a year and a half, and we opened on time. We never went over
on budget.
The calendar. And also the use of the desert. It's interesting because materiality was a huge thing, because everything gets destroyed so quickly. And so that is the reason why there are so many sort of horrible materials out in the desert, a lot of plastic and a lot of stuff like that. And we kind of wanted to use honest materials. So that was a big challenge. And in the end, it was really about materials that will age well. And the owners are amazing. They embraced that. They embraced the fact that everything was going to change with time, that these doors are going to get ashen and old and gray, and they're going to look great like that, and that they don't have to change them all the time. And that these kilns are going to get all screwed up with the sun and the water, and it's going to be great because they're just going to be old kilns. And so
and all the upholstery is the old canvas army tents. So they had already been through a couple wars, and they do just fine in the desert. Residences, just collected, and
just how people live. This is actually my house.
It's always weird when it comes up.
It's really weird. But,
people like Ramon.
I mean, I live in a rental in Echo Park. I've never bought anything in my life. I never probably will. That's my lifestyle. So this was it's a arts and crafts house that a friend of mine owns. I took an apartment in it, and it's tiny. It's 800 square feet. And the idea was to do the least amount possible to it because I was probably going to stay there for like a year. I've been there 5 years. It's just a collection of things, you know, and it's like we live exactly how we preach, basically. Like, this is what we say, and this is what we do. Everything was an easy solution. You know, those shades in the windows are just burlap. I wanted something super simple that took like 2 days to make because the windows were really exposed, and I live in Echo Park, where it's not advisable to, you know, have open windows, and so they're just burlap panels with hooks, and you just hook them up when you have to open them, and it's just really simple, easy, and then collected. Another interior. This is the house in Silverlake. The left is my house. The right is a project that we did. So you see it all sort of, it's a small house in Venice Beach, tiny. It's so small, actually, that, you know, we couldn't take one full photograph of the living room. So it's like two pasted together.
This was that Spanish house again, and I think we put it in for a couple of reasons. One is the clay wall fireplace, but the clay tiles are done by Stan Bitters, who's an artist that we collaborate with a lot. And it, you know, it was again taking this sort of, you know, hippie 60s Fresno artisan and, you know, creating the right place for him, you know, and framing it in a way where it, you know, really transformed it. It constantly gets black, and they wipe it down, and it's always beautiful, that fireplace. The tile was another thing that we again had made. We have lucky to have graphics, and we came up with a pattern and had it made, and they immediately looked old. They look like they've always been there. This courtyard had really low walls, and you could see both the neighbors and hear pool equipment. So what we did was raise the walls 7 feet and plant everything at the top and create, you know, a sunken garden feeling. And the family really hangs out here. This is where they have an outdoor, it's right off this kitchen. And it truly feels like one of those sunken gardens in Spain that they were going after. So this is a new kitchen that we took out 3 rooms and created this space. And I think, again, it's just a mix of the old and new, and a little bit industrial. And it's a great place to cook and hang out, and they spend all their time here. This is a loft space in Hollywood, and it had a very awkward entrance, and we had to come up with something to, you know, transport you into the space. And that's the staircase on the right where we wrapped Kilims going up, and
we love Kilims.
We obviously love Kilims. This is the house in Nichols Canyon again, that Buff and Hensman that we were talking about. On the left is the master bathroom, and all the walls are heath tiles. But on the outside is another Stan Bitters water wall. The retaining wall was 1.5 feet off the back end of the house. So we were like, what are we going to do to, you know, resolve this problem? And he has a giant shower to the left of that, so which is basically like a disco. So all the shower pumps go, and the music and everything, and that water wall is working, and it really transforms the whole bathroom. To the right is that same water wall coming down into the dining room. He only has an outdoor dining room. It's fully heated, and these shades come down, and you can get it really hot there, and that's where he eats most of his meals and stuff.
He's a 33-year-old bachelor, by the way, who lives in this house.
And that table is Pete Heineck, which I saw there were some Pete Heineck cabinets here. This is the same house as on the interior of it. We clad the entry and the outside in barn wood. The purist in me I thought it was sacrilegious, and I was so horrified to do it because it's like this Buff and Hensman historic house that we had fully restored except for this one detail. But our client really wanted something warm. It's really an indoor-outdoor pavilion, and really all the windows slide open, and everything really just flows to the outside. So I actually think it was a smart thing in the end because it did warm up the space quite a bit. And with his furnishings, I mean, this was fully decorated and loaded in on the week that the house was done, but I think it still looks collected over time, and we went through a lot with him to figure out what he wanted to collect and who that's a Kagan Shays on the side, on the right, and the different designers that he wanted to invest in and grow with and have over time. We work with an artisan named Robert Lewis. He's a lighting designer, and that the light fixture on the left was created for this house, as well as a lot of the lights. There's other lights in the house that he created. He's been another person we've collaborated with on a lot of our projects.
This is a retail store at the Standard in New York, and the client, I don't know if you've seen the Standard, but it's new construction. It's a concrete building, and he wanted this part of it to look like it had been left behind, like they raised this building and like this was left. So the idea was the layers have been left behind from like a tobacco shop, and maybe he kept saying Amsterdam head shop, and so I don't know. We went to Italy a little bit in the process, but it's a mix of styles, and hopefully it communicates what he wanted, which was these layers of time and purpose left behind. It's very custom. Like every single little drawer, every single case was planned for something. In our retail work, that's a big part of it. Like cash wraps are huge things. Like you spend so much time on those, because everything has to just work right. On the left is a restaurant that we did. It was our first project called Ammo.
It's our first project together. And
it's still there. Nothing's been done to it in 8 years, and it still looks pretty good.
I think with that project, they had such a big it had a very big foodie following, and it was very much a lunch agent place, and they wanted to, not lose their identity and not change their identity, but transform into a dinner place that has tablecloths and a higher price point. And so it was a little bit tricky, but I think it's succeeded. It's been there forever, and it was just again getting into their head and maintaining their existing identity.
Another residential. Another house. This client, actually, we did her identity for her fashion line. It's a line it was called Yaya. And then we did a showroom for her in New York. Then we did her house. And then we designed a store, which she ended up never building. But it was we were kind of in her life for about 4 years, and did all those. On those chairs, actually, is her logo, which is her name. Yaya is her nickname. So even in the house, we used her identity program. This is the same house. And it was really about advising her here too, about buying the right things, even the right photography. That's a Wallace Berman photograph, and Italian 50s chairs. That table was carved to sort of reflect that banister, because you could see it when you entered. So, I mean, we actually give a lot of thought to all the details. This is our studio. It's in West Hollywood, or in Robertson. And we've been there for about 3 years, and we always wanted an open studio. We never had it before. And we feel really lucky because everyone actually does work in one space, all the different disciplines, graphics, architecture, and interiors. Our staff is made up of all three. And they work, someone just, actually we kept saying that we were interdisciplinary. What is it? We were multidisciplinary, but actually somebody told us the other day that we're
integrated.
And
they really, I mean, depending on the project, it could be 2 graphic designers, 1 architect, 3 interior designers, and it's very democratic. We have a project lead, which can be from any discipline, and then the team is assembled, based on the project, and then they also act as support on other projects. So you will be a lead on ACE, and then you'll be an interior design support person on
a residential project.
And similar to here, we have a big pin-up wall because everything is so eclectic and there's so many different disciplines, working together, that we always try to take a look at the whole. And by keeping everything on the walls, that keeps us in line and on concept and stuff. So it's kind of similar to what you're doing here.
Yeah,
where it's in the middle of the space and everyone hears everything, and our poor clients stand in the hallway and look at all.
They like it though. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it really creates for a team experience. Everybody sort of chimes in. If somebody doesn't like something, they'll say it. They'll be like, "Why are you using that material there? It's not going to work." And then you engage in a conversation about it. So everybody sees everybody's work all the time. And also the different disciplines really interconnect in the interiors projects more than anything else, because graphics, for example, when we do all custom carpets, custom wallpapers, we love to customize things. It's part of, because we can, so why not? Why not offer a client something that's theirs alone? So we are able to actually design all that stuff in-house and then give it to different people to make, and that's the fun part, is actually making the stuff. What turns us on the most is working with these artisans and these experts and learning from them on how to make a design a reality. That's the best part of the job.
I just want to say the kind of person that succeeds in our office is not one who comes in, with their arms crossed, like, I am only an architect and I'm not going to work, I won't, I think that we have a lot of entrepreneurs. We have people who will act as interior designers but have an architecture training, act as architects, and have, a graphic. So they really, we tend to attract flexible people who are interested in all the disciplines and who are willing to, pitch in on a team.
And well-rounded. When we interview people, we really look at their backgrounds and what they're interested in personally. We really encourage them to learn about each other's work and each other's interests.
And set aside egos and,
It's just some
more office
stuff. This area in the center at the bottom left is an area where we've put together a lot of the products that we're working on. It's an area where everything sort of sits together so that we can see it all together and make sure that it all sort of works together. We're working right now on our own aesthetic for the first time. In the last couple of years, we started to make an effort in figuring out who we actually are and getting into our own heads and into our company's heads. We've always looked at Commune as a possible brand, as something that perhaps you can, the cup you drink your coffee out of in the morning might be Commune, and at the same time your house might be designed by Commune, but we're working towards that. And we started working with very, the artisans that we had access to, and slowly are starting to work with bigger companies. But we're being very, very careful about who we choose to work with, even as we are entering the world of licensing very soon. We're looking at people's practices, how they produce things, where they produce them. We're really trying to hold on to our ethics on this, but the idea is to grow. And we've had a lot of fun working with these people on all these different products, so we're going to continue to do that. This is dinnerware we've created with Heath. Very simple idea. It's their clay nude. They've never done it before. We just applied a gloss to it. And our table linens, which we do with Mateo, we had a relationship with them because we bought their bedding for all our residential clients when we staged their house and set up their house. And we had some ideas for table linens, and actually Heath, when they opened in LA, were looking for linens locally, and basically we had some ideas and we said, okay, we'll do them. We had a month to get them done before they opened, so we went locally to Mateo, who was our vendor, and they made it happen. And now it's been 3 years, and it's a little business.
This is our sleeping bag for taking naps. This is the rest of our linen line, which is...
We've done 4 different collections now.
We're doing cutlery with a jewelry designer that we all love, and napkin rings, glassware, chocolates.
It's basically things we love. We're not like...
We're not picky.
Yeah, it's like we love chocolates. We have these friends in LA that make beautiful artisanal chocolates. They're called Valerie chocolates, and we had some ideas, and we did that collaboration with them, and are now in the process of doing another one that launches in November. This is a project in process with Heath that we did. Heath and Alma Allen. We got all together and did these canisters, and we've done them 2 years in a row. They're really successful. They sell out before they even make it to the floor, pretty much. And it's a very simple idea. It's like, let's put lids on things, and that's it. On the left, it's interesting. It's a woman that we work with. She does scents, botanical scents, and this is a diffuser that she created.
For your house.
And so that's in development still. It's a really expensive process, so we're kind of waiting for an order. But it works, and it's really beautiful, actually.
The idea was that we'd finish a house and have a home scent, and you'd have this going throughout the house when you'd have events or you wanted, there'd be a scent with the house.
And these things, unfortunately, things that are handmade have a certain value, and that value is attached to a high price. So they're not for everyone. We hope that eventually, as we grow and we start working with bigger manufacturers, that we can still do these things by hand and make them more accessible. But at this point, it's really about educating whoever is going to buy it. And if you tell them how it was made, tell them the story, who did it, as much information as possible, they'll usually go for it. These are made by a guy in New York. It's actually our only artisan outside of California. He has a company called E.R. Butler. His name is Rhett Butler, believe it or not. And he does really beautiful, he has a foundry in Red Hook, and he works a lot with Ted Muelling on his jewelry and his housewares. These are made like jewelry. They're nickel and bronze. It's an idea I had a while ago of stacking candle holders, and that could be both for tea lights and for tapers, and they're totem candle holders, basically. They're beautifully made. They feel like jewelry. But each piece is, unfortunately, $750. So they're not for everyone,
Water that we work with, and the canisters.
Those are the Heath Alma Allen collaboration.
We do glass straws, coasters, rug line, lights.
We're just talking. One of our partners, Steven, was a painter when he was in school, and he ended up doing retail design via window dressing as a job when he arrived in New York in like the 70s. That carpet on the left, that design, is actually from a painting that he did while he was in school. He was 18 years old when he did it, and now he's 52, and it's our most successful carpet pattern. So you never know, where something's gonna pop up. This is
that same kitchen that we saw earlier.
We actually did.
We did the stationery for the house, which we quite often do. And
that's part of the whole holistic approach to residentials. We also did it for the house in Nichols Canyon. I mean, we do it for all our clients.
We had a tent as our store for a while, and that's the image on the left. And on the right, we had a small store at the Ace Hotel for a while.
We decided that we would try to see what our all these collaborations would look like in one space, and see if we could actually do a retail concept of our own. We did it for 6 months and decided that we didn't want to do retail. It's a lot of work.
And this was, yeah, furniture. And then the Love Light from Ace, which has been out. You can put on red or white or both. This is a mirrored coffee table that we do. Side table. Pillows from our scraps and leftovers from rugs that we've done. And yeah, that's it. We wanted to take any questions.
That's all the visuals.
That's all visual.
But I mean, in the end, it's really, we never set out to do this when we were in school. None of us ever thought that we'd be doing this. It really came out of the desire to work together on something, and it just became this. If somebody had said to me when I was 20 and I was going to be you, that I was going to be doing what I do today, I would have laughed in their face. Like, there's just no way I was going to be designing spaces. It never crossed my mind. And even when we started Commune, I wasn't even supposed to do it. I was really going to be doing more graphics. I was going to do more marketing for the company. I was going to work with clients. And to date, I've designed like 24 projects. And that's like really on my own, like with the help of my partners and a really, really capable staff. But it's a learning process. And the most important thing for me in learning how to do all this was to be really open and ask the right questions. My first project was actually a really high-end sex shop in New York called Kiki de Montparnasse. And it was super specific. Like, everything had to be done a certain way to display a certain object. And I can't even tell you what those objects were, okay? Because it would blow your mind. And I remember hiring I interviewed all these contractors. I hired the guy that I could talk to the best and whose work I respected the most. I convinced the client to go for this guy because he was the most expensive. I just knew how to convince him. That's a big part of it, talking your way into something you want with a client. And I sat him down and I said, I've never done this before. You're going to teach me. And we're going to go and do this together. And the guy was great. And I learned everything there was to learn about molding. That's amazing. And I learned everything about, Louis XIV. I remember reading a bunch of books. I mean, I just educated myself. And I still, to this day, books. That's all. We have a huge library between us, between the four of us. We're really open with our library at work. All our employees come in and out of our offices and I can take as many books as they like. We encourage them to use books. We don't encourage them so much to look at magazines, but not so much magazines and not internet, because that's what everybody else looks at. So we really push travel, books, having time. We do field trips. We do inspirational lunches. We look at movies. So that's what we've been trying to do to inspire our designers. Anybody have any questions? There's one over there.
You said that you had done film, or you had gone to school for film. Does that really influence how you see things and how you see how that kind of helps generate ideas for when you get new projects? That kind of
absolutely.
That certain type of decoding for
go ahead.
I mean, I got my master's in production design for film, and I think, and I worked in film for years, and I think the way we approach a project is basically if there's a character and a story, and you find the right, physical elements and colors and textures that support that. And another invaluable thing, I always look at how something's going to be photographed and lit, and I think that really helps with our projects. You can get a great photograph out of it, and lighting a house or lighting a store is so important, and I think that's something that we get from film a lot that we use.
And the attention to detail comes from that too.
Yeah. And the holistic approach. I mean, you know, when you're a production designer on a film, you're just as aware as what fork they're using, as what they're wearing, as what the background is, as what color their hair is, what the makeup's doing, you know. So it's really taking that holistic approach and transferring it to a different, medium, discipline.
And I mean, even just being a film history student, just looking at films, you learn about it, the way people live and move through space and all kinds of things that affect design. I reference movies all the time, and especially when it comes to style. Sometimes it's not even the real style, but it's what was in a movie, you know, and hey, I mean, that's real. It was in a movie. So I don't get we don't get caught up on what's like, you know,
because it's an experience.
Yeah, and
that's why.
What's truly Louis XIV's? Who cares, really, in the end? I mean, you should know it, but I don't think you have to use it. You know, so you educate yourself, you find the things that you're interested in, you feel very comfortable with those things, and then, you know, you're a designer. So you go from that, and from within, from your heart. That's really, that's how it becomes truly yours. I don't believe that if you look at what other people do and you're looking at trends and you get all caught up. We don't look at any trend reports about anything. We don't go to any like conventions or furniture fairs. We actually stay away from them. It's like kind of like a decision we've made that, you know, we are going to live in our world.
We
because
made our tunnel.
I mean, you know, we're lucky enough to have the opportunity to really create our own world. So we do, and it saved us. It's actually really saved our business that we didn't always look at trends and what was going on around us. I truly believe to this day that our company would not be possible if we lived in New York, for example. That our company is only possible in a place like California, where we're not looked at all the time, we're not under a microscope, there are no rules, you know. Freedom is a great thing for a designer.
Before Commune came about, across disciplines, like how did the idea to come together, how was that generated?
You know,
a lot of sake.
No, actually, it's true.
It's true. It was over a dinner with a lot of sake and the four of us. But
Stephen was kind of the catalyst. He was living in San Francisco, actually. He had left New York, like most of us do at some point, when we want a life. He had left the fashion business. He had been working with Donna Karan and then Studio Sofield, working on the Gucci stores, and went and took a job just to leave New York with the Gap. And he was creative director of retail for Banana Republic. He was here for 2 years, decided that he really wanted to live in LA, and was looking for work. And Pam wanted to have a family, so she didn't want to do production design anymore. She couldn't travel as much. She wanted to do interior design. I was friends with both.
I didn't even have a place to live. I just traveled. It was crazy. Yeah, it was
so I thought they should meet. I thought that Pam and Stephen should meet and maybe do some residential projects together. And so we set up this dinner, and we were at this restaurant for like 7 hours, and we drank a lot of sake, and we actually named the company that night.
And we had a list of people we wanted to work with, you know, so we sort of had this list of artists and communists that we wanted right off the bat. So
the idea was that we would find a way to work together. And because of our different backgrounds, we felt that there could be an opportunity to create a design company where the approach was a little different, where we would ask different questions, where we would look at design not only as an end to the process, but as a process itself. You know what I mean? So
like we had that restaurant Ammo, which was one of the photos, and you know we sort of had that right before Commune, And then once we thought of it, we were like, let's do the uniforms. Let's take the old leather and make, you know, the menu covers out of it. Let's redesign their logo. Let's do their takeout, you know, packaging. And so it just became a full experience. And that was sort of our little laboratory, that project. And our clients were so happy. We still maintain that restaurant. And we, you know, they want to change a sticker, they still call us.
And the second project was exactly the same. It was Hollywood Trading Company. It was this jeans company, this jeans store, tiny. It was like 300 square feet on Beverly. It's still there. And the design is still there. It's actually changed hands like 3 times. The owners have changed. And they've sort of done their own thing. But the design is still there. All the fixturing, everything is the facade, even the plaque outside, it has the same name on it. It's, and with them too, we designed the logo, we designed their packaging, we designed the interior, and we just made ourselves available that way. Like, you know, we can do all this for you, so why not? And in the beginning, most of our projects were that way. It's changed now, and sometimes we do all of it, and sometimes we do only part of it. We don't take jobs where part of it is done and we don't see a way to work with what's there. We're very honest about that. Like if somebody is opening, you know, a store and they've hired somebody to do their identity and we hate it, and their packaging and all that stuff, do it. And we look at it and we're like, we can't work with this. That's just not, yeah. Right? We don't.
But sometimes we're really excited about the person, and we're like, that would be a great person to, you know, collaborate with. So we're
generally open. It has to be really bad or really go against our aesthetic and our yeah. But we look at it as a challenge.
Did you have a question?
Yeah. Given your name is the Commune, you work with communists. What are you guys doing for the other 99%?
The other 99% of what?
The population.
Oh. What do you mean?
You mean?
Like those other people who like don't have a lot of money.
Well, that's why we started the I mean, not all the products are as expensive as the one thing, but we're hoping we're working on a book for our 10-year anniversary, and we're also working on products, and we're hoping to reach a broader.
Well, I mean, that's the idea,
audience,
is to reach a broader audience by growing our business. So, you know, you do what you can, obviously, because it's a business in the end. We also do pro bono work. We've done it.
We do.
When we believe in something, we will take it on fully, the same way. We did a project.
We actually do a lot of it.
Yeah.
We just think that you always have to have a few of those for your, you know, heart and your soul and your sanity and for the community. And we're looking for, you know, bigger community-driven projects at the moment.
You know, Heath, for example, when they came to us, they wanted to do a store in LA. They're a small company. You know, they're owned by a couple. A couple owns Heath. They have investors, but really they run it. It's small. It's an artisan business. They had this space in LA that was 5,000 square feet, and they basically had no money. For years, my dream was to work with these people. Seriously, I've had Heath always. I really respect them. I was trying to find a way to meet them.
We all had it. We were like, isn't it weird that we all have the same dinnerware? And you know,
so
we all love this thing. And
we would have done anything to work with them, and we kind of did. You know, their budget was kind of unrealistic. In the end, that store and studio were built for. It was like it's less than $40 a square foot. It was nothing. It's all pine plywood, basically.
A lot of things are bid at $500 right now, or you know.
Yeah, so that was really challenging, but we wanted to make it work. We're in the process of doing our third project with them, and they've grown. They've become more successful. Their budgets are a little bit better. We're still doing the same plywood, you know. We're just now adding a few touches that just step up a little bit, because they've also stepped up their product, and the people that they, you know, the glassware they bring in, for example, is going to be in a case that has glass doors. So actually we've introduced some glass doors and a case for maybe some jewelry that they're selling. But so we work with the client and what they have. We do the best that we can for them within that budget. And then we grow with them. The same thing with ACE. Ace was a really, really, really tight budget project. It was not a lush production at all. Now we're going to do another project for them in Los Angeles. Slightly different story. They have more money. But it'll still have the same sensibility. That's who they are, you know? So it's not all of a sudden get all fancy. It's not going to happen. But it becomes a little more comfortable. But that's it. So we've worked with all types of clients. If you want to do the job and it's interesting and it's challenging and you think it's going to give you something that you want, then you do it for no money. Zero. We've done it. It's like, I want that in our portfolio. I'll do it for zero. So that opens up your audience a lot if you're willing to do that. There's the money job, and there's like the love of, you know, the jobs for the love of it.
It's important to do it. Thank you. Thank you for having us.